I always tell you about the meditation on the Yidam deity. It is a benefit not only for the next life, but also right now in this life. It is a great benefit. Many times I get calls and people say, I have so many problems and I have such a hard time. And every time I say, you have to visualize Tara and you have to practice Tara. I always say that because the mind, when the mind is suffering, that suffering itself, it is a concept, it is a thought, and it arises depending on previously accumulated karma arisen from self-grasping. Now, at a time when the mind is suffering, it is obscured by the suffering. Therefore, it eliminates our wisdom, our intelligence. And in that moment, you have to visualize the Yidam deity very clearly, like seeing in a mirror. Visualize it very clearly. And recall the love and compassion that the deity has. And if you can do that, then the concept, that thought, will go out of existence and your mind will become clean and clear. So depending on the deity visualization, our self-grasping is decreasing and wisdom is increasing. There is therefore truly no better companion, no better friend than the Yidam deity. I always hand out those small round pictures of the Yidam deity, and it should give rise to it in your mind. Now, for example, when you give it to a child and you just tell it to recite Om Tara Tu Tara Tura Soha, without you embodying the love and compassion that the deity does, of course, maybe there's these benefits, but you need to completely transform into love that the deity embodies, and that will be beneficial now in this life, but also in future lives to come. In the future lives, when the deity is clearly appearing in your mind, it will be of great benefit, because your life will, your mind in the next life will transform into the deity. So there's a great benefit in this life and in our next life. So it's therefore important to engage in the visualization of deities.
There some talking more local to Mota Yoma, number Yoma, to Tasuka, yes. Tasuka, yes, Tasuka, Mota Yoma, number one Tapo. Tasuka made a star chocolate party. You be cheerful. That's a job kind of sitting your heart. 내가 제대로 두개도 코는 양을 찍고 양을 봐보면 양을 때려보면 나한테는 양을 본자 주비 제고는 그 산이 왔다 들이 남이 있잖아. 어떻게 내가 용모가 좀 세로 올려 내가 용모 세서 들이 완전 상기 통통통통을 대고 말이야. 내가 용모가 맞아 봐도 꽤나 마음에 세나 그놈들 맞아 봐도 되더라. 남들 나타나서 어떤들이 마음에 싫어고 빼대다가 나는 레드 맞아 봐도 봐도 되고 레드 세번 가서 기와 쫓고 기와 쫓아 근데 산이 잠깐만 놓고 놀아 그래 이런 통통마도 강행한 거지 레로 그 쭈르게 따라 잡고 쭈르게 기와 좀 지고 그래서
So thinking about the future lives is a very long way. So where on how will you go? If you have no car, if you have no plane to go, will you ride a horse? So if you don't have all those, how will you prepare? It is your own diligence, your own efforts. Whenever you can engage in virtuous actions, you have to work, but as soon as you have an empty moment, use it for visualizing the deity, or to meditate, or to recite, to read the text. And all times have effort, effort and diligence continuously. When you practice continuously, then in the future all the karmas and afflictive emotions will be exhausted, and then the period of the pardo will be very short. It is just like a butter lamp. As long as there is oil in the butter lamp is burning, but when the oil of the butter lamp is exhausted, when it's gone, then the butter lamp will not be burning anymore. So as soon as we have exhausted all our afflictive emotions, we will not experience the suffering anymore, but we will go straight to the pure realms. Therefore, we shouldn't be lazy, but apply great effort. And here it says, instead of a horse, use effort.
남자라지 내가 때서 내고나 그냥 다다 뭐야 때서 야 내가 마오들 낳게 요리더니 내가 마오들 하지 누마대로 말해라래 내가 되고 빼대나기 나한테 기와서 대행이 산이 따로미 산안에서 바로 그 가지시시고 말이잖아 이제 되지니라 쉽지 달래로지 하려면 취지지 강되나 진짜게도 따따따따는 제고 나 산이 있잖아 지금 말이 조금 들어 조금 별로 보고 좁다는 데가 민제고래 해서 레로 저거는 뭐 싫어 신을 잡고 줄라 레로 맞게 뚜르치 해서 야야
The obstacle for diligence, the enemy of diligence, is laziness. And this is not just in regard to next lives, but also this very life. Laziness is very harmful to this very life. For example, if you have some work to do, and then we just procrastinate it, and we say, I will do it tomorrow, I will do it another time. The work just remains undone. And at one point there is a big heap of work that has not been accomplished, has not been done, and has to be done. So, in the same way, when we are not practicing, when we are being lazy, then what happens when we tomorrow, when we were to die? Therefore, it says, don't be lazy and practice right now. Practice tonight with strong diligence. We don't know, we might die tomorrow, and if one has practiced diligently, then whenever one is dying, it is fine. But if one has not practiced diligently, then what will happen? So one understanding that, don't be lazy, but be very diligent.
Three minutes is only three more. Some of it on the Tariki on the Chesma. Kaya Tariki was okay. Tam on Machata, and you're back in it. Tam is able to teach you. Tam is teaching you. Kela. Kela is that. Two minutes, you know. Tam more Karachi for it. Two time table, Mare. We are Jogo, Mare. 딱 전파를 안 받는 건 말이에요. 공자시면 공자면 샘도 담아서 거예요. 아까도 쭈비 나네 쭈비 소리 잡아 샘도 담아서 주세요. 루다광 창을 대죠 가보. 안에 딱반 지로 어디지 대다 가보. 샘도 담아서 공자로 해서 공자는 좋아요. 저 공자 공자는 좋. 딱 그거 말이에요. 전부 대죠 말이에요.
So after Milarepa has spoken, she was thinking, and then she said, I have not prepared at all for my next lives. My whole life I have done no preparation. So she regretted and confessed, and she said, from now onwards I need to practice the Dharma. I need to commit myself to Dharma practice. So she made a commitment that I'm going to engage seriously in Dharma practice. And Milarepa has said, if you truly want to practice the Dharma, it is not necessary that you give up your family or you give up everything that you have, but you need to meditate. And the purpose of meditation is to purify your mind, and you need to apply great diligence. It is very difficult to always be in mountain retreat, but you need to meditate at all times. And if you do that, then you can also just stay in your family as a householder. So then she was asking Milarepa, so how should I meditate? And Milarepa replied, to meditate, look at the nature of your mind and let your mind rest in its natural state, just like space, without any grasping, without any boundaries or centers, without any thoughts. Just look at your mind. So rest your mind space-like, and now go ahead and have some tea. So an outer example for the nature of the mind is space, is the sky. The sky is just like the sky. When one sees with wisdom the true nature of mind as it is, without any boundaries and without any centers and without any expressions, then one has realized the mind to abide just like space. This is an outer example for the inner mind, space. Then secondly, the example of the sun and moon. That is when, at the moment when our mind is clear, in a state of clarity. In a state of clarity, we are mindful, aware, and we are conscientious. In that state, whichever afflictive emotion or concept arise, we are aware of them, we feel them, and they are liberated on their own accord. There is no grasping to those concepts to be truly existing. That means one is not engaging in actions motivated by attachment or anger. It is just like seeing a beautiful flower. When one does not have mindful awareness, then one sees that flower and one thinks, oh, this is a beautiful flower, I need to buy it, I need to get it. But if one has mindful awareness, then one will think, oh, this is a beautiful flower, but it's just an illusion. It's just a delusion. One will not even think about it even further than that. So that is clarity. Clarity is mindful awareness. As illustrated with the example of sun, which is ever illuminating.
Rinpoche 花钱的，你大年别弄了300-800的，他不说社会间的常见人呐，哦，社会间的常见人，他们光顾着这干人来着，他就还好了嘛，是吧？光顾着这30个娃的，后来30个娃，30个了，哦，那多挺容易，没办法，是吧？这些别个他都挺来啥样不了，来啥我就成这么高了，对不对？ 生不大，这把叶子，然后生不的老嘛好，其实这把，因为牛毛把这把，因为牛毛把来啥的来着这把，因为来就把差价，但多少人都说了都，牛毛把刚一把几斤多少人都了，把差的，他们说驴的把差的要来，中国人觉得不，那个确实大伙嘛都驴的，一般没法子，把差的嘛这把这驴的要来。 这把茶谁嘛是当然驴的小狗很高了，别觉得把茶这把觉得这里有，
So that has very deep meaning. If now one may ask, if the basis of our mind, if the nature of our mind is the Buddha, if we already are the Buddha, why is there a need to meditate? It is because we need to keep up our clarity, our mental awareness. That is, in a state of mental clarity where we are fully mindful and aware. Even if concepts or afflictive emotions arise, they will be rendered powerless, they can do no harm. But if we are not mindful and aware or we lose clarity, then when concepts or afflictive emotions arise, depending on them, we are engaging in actions, and these actions obscure the nature of our mind. There is 4 obscurations that obscure the nature of our mind. The first one is the obscuration of recognizing the mind as it is. So we are obscured by not seeing the mind's true nature. Then, depending on that, because we are not seeing mind's true nature, we are engaging in actions, which is the second obscuration, the obscuration of karma. The second one is afflictive emotions. And depending on those afflictive emotions, we are engaging in actions, which is the third one. So we have had not seeing the nature of one's mind, afflictive emotions, karmas, and fourth, depending on karmas, we are putting imprints in our mind. These are habitual tendencies in our mind. And it is those habitual tendencies, those imprints, which have formed this body, which is temporary, which is like an illusion, temporary. As soon as at the time when the imprints are exhausted, also this body will go out of existence. So those 4 obscurations, they happen in stages.
도게가 자와 뉴모바는 마켓도 하고 하고요. 권한 것이 내발동도 요래 영동동 좋게 오면 제 강의들 다 마본네 몸바디 빼려도 따와대 또나 대 몸바도 공부지 이거는 뭐 공부요. 빼는 내 당불값으로 몸 잡는 뉴모바 내발동 것으로 정신이 강해나 뭐저 대나 싫어가 공부 따와 이거 말해. 시라고 맨날 이시세요. 시라고 맨날 이시 가려야 되거든요. 얘네 요게 얘기사 토마네 바네 요래 마음발라는 요래 셈이 나갔다고 요래 매야요 말이에요. 얘 시드는 뒤세부 내로 쳐하거나 세운 한가 내로부터 한가 하거나 또 탐체의 집에 시시사서 세부 내로 또 어디가 주탑지 셈이 종하다. 원래 대통령 동만이니마다 하고 그래. 예시대라. 진짜 다다한 것을 생기던 게 유일해. 참 충청마도 요 말해. 그는 부처를 냈다 그래. 양이 뭐가 공수는 사제 탐지 나는 매체 뭐 짝탑나고 냈다 그래. 짝탑나고 냈다 그래. 현장 뭐 가래견을 랑상 매는 좀 철도 나토리 이게 총총은 남도 총총 나온 양식 좋네. 나도 총총 때문에 공자 파역한 미도 있노. 공자는 세미 시랍라티는 남도 미도도 시나. 이 유익자담 공 같은 남도 당시 생는 일이. 그래라도 계시대 매다가 유체 매배 공자 때는 이 시대 말을 레레도 체르도 오래 촉체르도 나도 같이 생각했네. 이 시대 매다고 나도 생각하는 것들이 몸 유는 거죠. 미라레파 타타로 몸이 아주 대리스는 거래. 근데 이 시대 촉체고 차를 딱 내죠. 다 영국에 가야 높아요 말이야. 그러면 미라레파를 나게 좀 같이 가는 상태 때나 미라레파 가는 또 오는 말이야. 어쩌고 내만 말게 이렇게 오라라. 막 가야지.
So we always hear that the root of our suffering is our afflictive emotions. So we all know that, but yet we don't know how to eliminate our afflictive emotions. We know that they are the root of our suffering, the cause of our suffering, and yet we try to eliminate them and we can't. That is because, for that reason we need meditation. For that reason we need to habituate our mind. When one wishes to realize the view, it is a question of habituation of the mind, not of the realization itself. One needs to abide with it. One needs to habituate one's mind to it. In the beginning, as beginning practitioners, the reason why we cannot eliminate immediately our afflictive emotions is because the flame of our wisdom is very small. So here wisdom or primordial wisdom in Tibetan means yeshe. Those two parts, ye and she. Ye means original. That means it has always been there since beginning of time, and it will always be there in the future. It is abiding like space and it cannot be destroyed. That is ye, original, and she is that awareness that realizes the nature of mind, that is the all-knowing awareness, that realizes that all phenomena of samsara and nirvana have arisen from the mind and are empty of self-nature. So that's the meaning of yeshe, or primordial wisdom. Now, we do have some yeshe, some wisdom, but it is very small. It is very, it's like a tiny little flame. Now, when a very strong afflictive emotion arises, when a very strong concept arises, we don't have that fire, that little flame does not have the strength to burn that afflictive emotion up. But as we are increasing our wisdom, that flame is growing stronger and greater. And in that state, as it grows greater, however many concepts are arising, they will be burned up by the flame. So you can see the flame to be like your wisdom, and the afflictive emotions and the concepts like wood. In the beginning, when you put a lot of wood in a small flame, it will not be able to burn it up. But later on, when the flame has been developed and is very, very great, then however much wood you will put inside, it will be able to consume it. It will become stronger and stronger. So this we do through habituation. Every day we habituate our mind, and every day the wisdom fire will become stronger. That is the meditation that Milarepa has taught. So when the wisdom fire is very big, then no matter how many demons or afflictive emotions are arising, they will have no power. Milarepa was known for defeating all demons and obstacles because of his great wisdom, and because he did not grasp at them to have any self-reality. generally in other texts, in for example, Tsokpa Chenpo texts, they So Rinpoche actually said I shouldn't mention that because it's not really part of this text, but now I started already. So, so in that other context, the body, speech, and mind would be. There are 4 examples given for body, speech, and mind. The body should be like a mountain, and the speech like an ocean, and the mind like space. Here in this text, the same examples are given: the mountain, the ocean, and the space. But here they all refer to the mind. It shows the unchanging nature of the mind. So when the mind is like a mountain, strong like a mountain, then no matter how strong the wind is that blows, no matter how strong the wind blows, it cannot shake the mountain. So when the mind is like a mountain, then no matter how strong the concepts are that arise, they will not be able to shake the mind. So meditate on the mind like a mountain. Then meditate on the mind like an ocean. When you have an ocean, maybe on the surface of the ocean is moving, but in the depths of the ocean, no matter how strong the wind is blowing on the surface, the depth of the ocean remains unmoving. In the same way, rest your mind. And then the third one actually here is not space-like, but it says, guard your mind like guarding a jewel from a thief. Always being aware and thinking a concept could arise. I must guard my mind from getting distracted and falling under the sway of those concepts. Just like when one has a wish-fulfilling jewel in one's house, one would always guard that jewel from thieves to come that would take it away. And so in the same way, guard your mind from distraction, because when distraction happens, then afflictive emotions arise, and then we create actions, karmas. So therefore, keep your mind constantly aware and guard your mind like a jewel. And then the next one, that's number 3, and then 4, is have no doubts, questioning the state of questioning your mind. Is it this or is it not this? So have no doubts.
나또다 뭐 총총 뭐 그냥 더 봤다 거죠. 로고 공도 들어가서 현성을 좀 맞게 그래서 제 공들을 따라야 되죠. 그래서 현 모두 뭐 째도 어느 티가 그냥 못 빼야 되다 강해도 다 그래서 못 빼죠. 놀나 샘도 공도 데모 샘은 나또 손 나또 최종으로 하죠. 뭐 손은 근데 강해도 혹시 다 어떻게 하시고 이제만 보고 뺏을 거예요.
And then she got instructed that about the physical posture. It is the sevenfold posture of Vajrayana. There are many different traditions on how it is explained, but mainly it is important that the spine at the back is completely straight. If the spine is straight, if the body is straight, then one's channels are straight, and when one's channels are straight, one's winds are straight, and when one's winds are straight, one will be able to move it through the central channel if one is able to gather it at the middle chakra, and then one's mind needs to abide. So there is a posture for the body, and the mind needs to abide quietly, and then meditate on that for a very long time. So she went and meditated and had many good experiences, and also obstacles have arisen. So she asked again, she asked her teacher, Milarepa, when I meditate my mind to be like space, that is a good meditation, but I find it difficult when clouds arise. What shall I do when clouds arise? Or when I meditate on the moon, that is excellent, but around the moon suddenly countless little stars appear. Or when I meditate on the mountain, and suddenly I'm aware of all the trees and bushes growing on the mountain. That makes me feel uncomfortable. What should I do about it? So basically what it means is that it is those small concepts that are constantly arising that are very harmful to our meditation. So when we only abiding on the nature of our mind, then it seems to be joyful. But as soon as those small little thoughts are arising, we experience difficulties.
제가 다음 말에 백성을 꼈다. 나파 공도 내가 네 소피 나파랑 이미 누구요래. 소피 될 세바만 소피 나파 당초에 나파랑 그나게 또 나파게 소피는 좀 맛이 없고 말해. 로다고 공적으로 또 대신에 오르송은 대신에 주도가 제거 말해. 대신 거랑 이기에나 이세는 요래. 잡초 공도 되면 잡초 발압돼. 잡초 랑가 발압돼. 말로 랑가 아마 참도 오래. 저때 빼들이 망고 가시요 이렇게. 얘는 아때 망고도 보고 말해. 동네 되네. 샘당 남도 왔니. 가가 말해. 샘은 남도 다 뉴모가 최종을 하죠. 망고 동네야. 남도 되는 저바 맞죠. 그냥 또 봐요 말해. 그러면 잡초도 발압니. 마도 발압이 치보는 걸 잡수할 수 있는 발압을 해놔라고 좀 인간식으로 어떻게 되면 발압을 약간 미로 발압다 쪼이지 말에 잡고 찍어야 좀 고아차 근처 상 라가 세는 때가 참참 들이 요가 촉 쳐보 찌어가면 이거 무시 촉 쳐보고 근데 미다가 미로 어디 봐봐 좀 대시 때는 곧 내 마음에 버시네 대시 나서 내가 얘기해 근데 미도 그 미저 때를 빼는 남도 충청이나 춥다고 말이야. 미행이 없네. 너무 동이 춥지고, 양 대변초라 춥지고, 제 당시 제로 가면 세 번째는 가인도 거기 왕이 거고 제 마셔와야 다 되고 촉촉 확확 시당 좀 제로 가 원래 대장부터 보면 그런 제가 그런 경우에 좀 이거는 뭐 감정 되잖아. 이 말때문에 시당 tanti nanti me pace ne calon sono che già tanto non mi ora sta partendo 이 뭐가 dan 동반이 또 가지 시장은 가지 보자 이 전체로 보면 뭐 바로 너무 걸려 사오면 다 통수로 와 이거는 이게 참아대 생당 남도니 남도는 좀 함께 고 말해서 남도 세미 좀 봐야 돼 세부지 희원은 남도 좀 봐야 돼 그래서 전부 다 됐죠 참 본게 참 이래
So Milarepa has said, has replied, when you meditate on the mind abiding like space, then clouds will arise. Clouds naturally come, but you need to recognize them to be the magical display of the sky, like an illusion, and they will go out of existence by themselves. So have no grasping to the clouds arising. They will just vanish back into the sky as they have arisen. When you meditate on a mountain, do not grasp, hold on to the trees or to the bushes. When you just ignore them, when you just leave them as they are, they naturally will disappear. Or another example is the example with the ocean and the waves. The ocean and the waves are not separate, even though they may appear, a wave may appear very powerful and very strong, rising from the ocean, but yet they are both water and not separate. What this all is to say is that the mind and the concepts are not separate, they are not different. When you recognize the concepts as they arise without any grasping, then they will be rendered powerless. Just like an ocean, when a very strong, a very great wave is arising, we would naturally have fear, we would be afraid of the big wave. But recognizing that the wave itself is in the nature of water and is not separate from water and will again dissolve into water, should eliminate our fear. So when very strong afflictive emotion is arising, when you recognize it with mindful awareness, then no matter how strong it is, it will just dissipate in itself. So when very small concepts are arising, then we don't even have to apply any effort, we just leave them be and leave them dissipate again. Naturally they will dissipate. But sometimes afflictive emotions and also great bliss arise as very strong, and then naturally we get involved in it, we get distracted, we completely get overpowered by it. Especially the afflictive emotion of anger gets a hold of us very strongly. When you recognize that, do not speak in anger, and recognize that the fault lies in the afflictive emotion of anger. Recognize that every time it arises, and day by day, slowly you will melt the hard ice block into water as you gain experience, because you have realized that its nature actually is empty of self-nature. Then when you habituate your mind to it, then in the future it will be very easy for you to eliminate afflictive emotions the moment they arise. So in brief, what that is to say is mind and its concepts are not separate. So therefore, there is no need of having any fear of our concepts when we just recognize them at all times with our mindful awareness. And practicing in this way, the girl, Onion, So the girl Nima, the girl practicing in this way, she did not have to. There was no need for her to go into mountain retreat, and also she didn't have to cut her hair and become ordained. She just was staying at home as a householder and practiced. And in the end, it is said that she has obtained the rainbow body and has become a true yogini. So, for the future, Rinpoche says we should remember her name. Because the story that she wrote about Milarepa's life is really in accordance with the real story, and therefore it's important for us to study it.
야, 다 세물 때는 뭐 가리나 담아. 그게 나빠다고 통. 알아. 그게 나빠다고 생고가 보고 생들라. 매 가야 좀 내가 다리 편이 엄마 받아 보는 동안 나빠다고 잡는. 그 받아 잡아. 가리까지 해봐. 원래 뭐 나타났다는 여가에 나빠고 말해. 가리 제일 요만해. 나빠는 이 통성서. 남들 밀라레파니 见识这边哦，知道哪个到了同，然后OK。
Milarepa
松山没讲的吧？松山没讲的吧？没讲的知了，这两年搞的这个，就讲的大力讲的有，也不来是哪三个知道的。
There was another disciple of Milarepa called Milarepa. He gets the name Repa, which means Re means a cotton cloth. You get this name when you are accomplished in the practice of Dumo, which is in the heat. Then you don't need any other clothes besides a cotton cloth because you don't feel the cold. That is actually to get the name Repa is a great honor. It shows that one has great qualities. For example, one could meditate on the high snow mountains of Lapchi, only wearing a cotton cloth through mastering inner heat. Now, his disciple Milarepa, he asked Milarepa, how do you practice? How do you train your mind? And Milarepa answered, when I practice, when you practice, you have to look at your mind. You have to look. The mind is watching its own nature. You have to look at the nature of the mind. Non-erism and seeing directly its true essence. You have to watch your mind. Its essence is unelaborated, just like space. Cannot said to be existent or non-existent. There is nothing to do to it. It just abides like space, empty of self-nature. This is what I have realized. So mind's essence, which is unelaborated, just like space, when one leaves it just as it is, then one realizes the nature of all phenomena. All phenomena of samsara and nirvana have been created by mind, and if one leaves it just naturally, without grasping, abiding just like space, then one realizes everything that appears to be empty of self-nature. It is not as though everything is just going out of existence, becoming nothingness, but things arise, but the mind does not have any grasping to them. However many things one sees, they cannot do any harm to one.
네 나시 뉴피 탐체 렘바 맞아 봐. 동반이라. 그래서 과차 거라. 올해 추장는 배장 활동제네 근데 추장제 유제만 맞다 그지 하고 봐. 근데 이제 너무 대단 하고네 올해 주배시라고 되는 딱히 동고요래. 주배시라고 대단 추나야 다 무슨가 요아리 것도 그게 나중이와 느끼기 요래. 요바 되나? 다리 주배시라고 파라래서 요바 되는 양 이연전 저봐야 보여라 봐. 저봐야 보여나? 세분대로 가서 이제는 맞아 봐도 주배시라고 되는 하고 요래. 얘는 미 이제도 마음껏 좀 봐도 땅하고 말이야. 가서 하고 왔잖아. 근데 도구로 세분대로 가서 저 마음에 가면 이제는 요 말이지. 매화지 다른 곳에 세분도 봐 가서 들이 문이 매화더니 나갔다 왔겠나. 자제를 와.
So to realize all phenomena to be empty of self-nature is not what we ordinary beings immediately do. We again and again have graspings to phenomena as they are arising. So we are depending on studies, listening and reflecting and meditating to get first an understanding of the fact that all phenomena are not substantially existing things, have no true reality to them, and are empty of self-nature, and all phenomena are, everything compounded is impermanent. One can get an understanding through reading scriptures, for example. So first we are depending on the wisdom arising from listening and contemplation. And in that state, of course, there is self and others, there is a duality. But generally, to that existence of them, we naturally have a grasping. As soon as self or others appear, we have a grasping to them. But then when one looks at its nature, at the nature of the mind, then when one has realized it, one sees that it all has no true existence. From the beginning on its basis, it does not have any self-existence whatsoever. And in that state one will think, what have I been thinking? I have had so many graspings to things to be substantially existent before. When one has realized they have all dissipated in a state of non-apprehension.
다다 것도 뭐가 몰람지 당장 몰람지 얘 동안이지 다다 니바를 내 무슨이 가다 야와요 미디나 야와 무슨 여러 회도 들어가 배지다 되잖아 다다 몰람 동안이 산이 시선 좀 몰람나게 놓을 때 이세야요 말이지 이세야 그거 몰람들아 다 제대로 몰람다고 이제 저는 몰람되고 뭐 찾아잖아 드리상어도 다这边就跟中国的说呢，这得到什么管道中，这个做不能就是这把联系，这里还包了啊，还不可能，让这直播，中国吧，啊。
So this is something a little difficult to understand for beginners. Some beginner may see a person. And then when you tell a person, oh, that person is empty of self-nature, then he would say, you're stupid, what are you talking about? How can you say that person is empty? So you don't have to look at the person as a person, but think you have to look at its nature, the nature of the person. If you understand the nature of one person, you have understood the nature of all beings in the 6 realms. So now we are having this conversation with somebody, and this person says this is a person. So you ask the person, so who is that person? Is it that body? Is it this one? And then he would reply, yes, that's the person. Then one would answer, but what happens when the person dies? When the body dies, then it's just a corpse. Is that corpse then also a person? And then he has to answer, no, the corpse can never be a person. So what is then the person if the corpse cannot be a person? So then the person would say, oh, that the person, this human, is a mind. It's the mind. Good, then you have to look at your mind. And when you look at your mind, searching for the person, you will be lost. Because it cannot be determined to be or not to be the mind. So then one has doubts on whether the mind is the person or is not the person. So there's many debates in logic when they talk about compounded phenomena. It is a compounded phenomena and it is impermanent. It is like empty of self-nature, and yet it is functioning and it is doing things. So what is it? The Buddha has said it is just like a dream. We have been born in this life as the children of our mothers, and will be that until we die. And when we die, it will be just like waking up from a dream. This life will appear to be just like a dream when we die. Right now, when we go to sleep tonight and we have a dream, then we wake up and we say, oh, that was just a dream, it's just emptiness, that was not real, now it's real, that's real life. But yesterday we have talked about it when somebody asked a question about the hell realms, if hell realms do really exist or not. Now, it is in the same way. Now, this present life and every life exists just like a dream, and when we die, we will wake up from the dream, and then the partner state will become reality. Jigten Sungen has said, to make that understandable, this life, all the future lives, and the partner state are really one and the same, no difference.
대다 하고도 சொன்னா 이 사제가 까라띠는 되는 거 선두기기 사제게 내가로 사제게 유제 잠시 마다바지 이책 집어대 선두기기 유제 마다바 홀로 나 그게 생기 다다대다기 오 미지가 적었다나 리셈지가 마다바래 드리당상 오 선두기기 나비 생기 야라 대바리 삼주대 시작하고 선대 지워야 뭐 선대 흘러 차야 뭐라 대 차선을 가리 펴려야 야 잡을도 다 털거려야 돼다 제고 하고요 다 다른 잡을도 털거려야 다 가리 버리 잡을도 털서는 미적을 맞고 로 말이야 토소를 유대 시에서 세비 식어요 말이야. 너블이 이미 작가 식어. 너블이 토소를 가리카리. 또 사진을 써와도 생긴 삼성이 손을 맞동을 몰란다. 그래 하래야 이거 말이야. 들이 세분이로 꼭 들이와 유대성 좀 다 빠빠고 뒤에다가 경남도 말하시라. 뒤에다가 비토를 봐. 저렇게 우고 또 보고 또 세분이로 시설을 들이 봐 배워요 말이야. 이제 밤에나 다 대화라 이제 봐요 말이야. 대화를 시봐요 말이야. 대화를 용초를 때 대화를 시봐면 야 대화면 동의 살마 동의란 저 밤에 제독 내가 제 민은 담화로도 저 봐요 이제 뭐 하리베 다다도 세분이로 제독 내가 제 민은 담화로도 저 봐요 이제 대게 때문에 우도 또 보고 또 소나 선수기 마음 생겨 나도 탐지는 더 밤에나 그 생각 나갔다 다 되고라 다쳤다만 잘 다쳤다는 게 그거라 우도 또 보고 또
Then if one understands, depending on the Buddha's speech, that all outer phenomena, the outer container, the world, the universe, is going to be destroyed. Just like the Buddha has said, all compounded phenomena are impermanent. All the outer world, the outer container, the universe will be destroyed. It is in the nature of impermanence. And all beings, all bodies will be destroyed. So both inner and outer, the outer world and the inner sentient beings, both are impermanent and they have no inherent existence. When one understands that, then one's mind will become at ease, and that is a great benefit. So these days also the scientists know that the world will be destroyed at some point. And when the world is destroyed, all the bodies will be destroyed. But the mind itself can never be destroyed. It will not go out of existence. Or the people will go out of existence. So the mind will not go out of existence. Therefore, we make supplication prayers and supplicate the Buddhas not to send sentient beings into the lower realms. If one has realized the nature of one's mind and realized that all phenomena are impermanent, one will have no fear. One will have no grasping, no holding on to. When one experiences great happiness, great bliss, one will not be attached to it. One will have no grasping to it. When one experiences bliss, it is alright to experience it, but one does not need to grasp at it, hold on to it. And also one will not hold on to suffering when suffering arises. So both, Milarepa has taught, it is the supreme instruction that between both happiness and suffering is not the slightest difference. When your mind has no concepts and no holding on to, no apprehension, it will remain just like space, just like water, in a purified state without any stains or obscurations.
대다오도 또 하나 나중에 몸 자고 남이 제고 삼리기 로지 요는 다 그런 제고가 말이야. 다 생기면 나빠져 죽는데 다 갈래. 다 콜레가 그냥 매 랭기 보를 뒤도 채 랭기 보를 또 다마서무지 나몸 자고서는 두바요 이거 말이야. 나도 나도 내몸과 당신이나 랭기 보를 뒤도 채다 같이 이렇게 싸움을 가지고 생각하다고 그렇게 강력 싸움을 말이야. 하나 마사 랭기 보를 뒤도 채 럭영사 배지 주 어떤 뭐를 넣을 차차 참아 셔츠좀 뭐를 똥상 소리가 싸워 럭영사 배지 주 딜까지 가려니 나 상기의 기반 문에 나그 생들이 산지에 샘수 모시게 해도 들자 맞지도 라는 샘도 산지에 땅에 적고 산지 lok하게 적고를 강해로만 적상지 로야네 적상지 로야 뭐요 말해 하고 좋아
and when one has realized that, then the wish to meditate, thinking I need to meditate or I need to practice, also has ceased. It's that mind, that wish to meditate and practice also is not there. Just without thinking anything, the mind just abides like space. No thinking of there is a need for meditation or not. In that state there is no afflictive emotions, there is no thoughts, so it abides like space, and in that state all the places of the 6 types of transmigration are empty of self-nature. In that state one recognizes one's own mind to be the mind of the Buddha, and in that state there is neither the thought I need to practice nor the thought I do not want to practice.
제일 배차야가 심지 당시에 되는 상제요에 사제 생성 모습이고 아마 저도 짱말에 근데 저도 예전에 추자 아마 남동은 저는 말했어요. 이 남동은 저도 봐도 야라면 다 지역에 저까만 저요라 저도 봐도 야도 맞아야 저까만 또 봐주네. 나한테 다 사정 듣나봐. 좀 배터리 싸놓으면 남도 뉴무가 참아 배봐도 저 담아 차서 저 담아 제발 요 말이 저 담에 제발 저 담아 차서 진짜 담게 산지에 우리 하고 산지에 생성 모시게 제대로 담아 참아 산지에 하고 뭐 남이 지지 봐도 깨다 되게 니쳐도 담아래 또 어떻게 저도 가게 아니 저도 봐야 아니 저도 양자 담아 저기요래 담아 저기요래니까 다 제일 미팅이라면서 참 담아 저 담아 자기 저기 봐 조금 좀 왔다 가는 거지요 나는 요만이 그때 담아 저 담아 생긴 그 상견들이 상기로 해 하고
So an example for that all sentient beings are originally the Buddha, have the Buddha on their basis is when one first, for example, has pure water and then one uses this water, for example, to wash clothes, then the water becomes dirty. Still, both waters are water. One is dirty water and one is clean water. But these days, the scientists have science has improved, and they these days know how to purify dirty water. So after one has washed the clothes and they have the water has become very dirty, then the scientists use some machines to make the water clear again and pure. In the same way, we can purify our mind stream that has become dirty through understanding bodhicitta and karma, cause and effect. All our afflictions, our defilements will be eradicated, and in the end what is left is just a pure mind, a clean mind, which is the Buddha itself. In the same way, water has always been water, either in a pure state or in an impure state. It still is water. Now, when we have purified our mind, it has become pure water, and we have realized that we are Buddha, and in fact all and every sentient beings is Buddha.
공장 로를 점에서 그거 다리 로를 내가 똑같이 하소해. 공장 로를 점에서 좀 대서 사제 우리도 똑같다만 좀 참아 사제를 해야지. 뭐 사제를 맞춰 생점인데 좀 사제 저거 놓고 생보다는 서로 로도로 다주 상계 말이에요. 생보다는 서로 같구나. 생매 빠져나. 다 도르베. 내가 상계 대형 사천면은 좋아졌대. 상계마도 노사요 말아. 용왕하는 정말 상계 서로가 노사요 말이야. 그럼 나 이미 나 상계가 미되나 저거라. 나 상계 늦게 미돼. 저 상계 교육을 나 상계가 미되라 같이 되나 저를 하고. 나 남바 미되는 거 챈데 여기 상계 교육. 나 남바 미서도 봐라. 샘도 서로 샘이나 상계 말이야. 샘이나 상계 말이야. 얘네는 용왕나들 샘이 말이야. 용왕은 사지라고 이러마. 사지 똥반이를 보고 오래. 사지 뭐가 쭉장도 말이야. 샘도 면은 되니 샘이 쭉장도 말이야. 샘은 샘대 상계를 들어와. 상계 샘의 송세. 하고 네. 하고
When somebody would say, I'm a Buddhist, or I'm not a Buddhist, or I don't need the Buddhist view. When one speaks like that, then it means just because the Buddhist view is the Buddha, and what is the Buddha? It is inherent in every sentient being. It is inherent in the mind of every sentient being. It is just that our minds have been temporarily obscured by stains. That is only temporarily. On our basis, on our ground, we all are the Buddha. All sentient beings are the Buddha. If there would be no mind, then there would be nothing, because Buddhahood arises from mind. When one were to say, I don't want to attain enlightenment, I can't attain enlightenment, you can say that, but you can't say that you don't have the Buddha cause in your mind, because every sentient being does have the Buddha cause, the Buddha nature in one's mind. So the mind, has nowhere to go outwardly, outside. Even the four elements are pervaded by Buddha. They are Buddha, since they are empty of self-nature.
Very good. Page 18.